Hello, welcome to Better Teaching Through UDL, Training Future STEM Faculty, where STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. I am Justy Eccles, Course Development Manager and Accessibility Specialist, as well as Training Future Faculty Committee Member and Mentor, co-presenting today with Amy Forrester, the TFF Program Manager and Faculty Development Specialist. We're both with the Teaching and Learning Center at Oregon Health and Science University. Our main goal today is to improve our Training Future Faculty TFF program through the lens of universal design for learning by engaging symposium participants to provide feedback and suggestions. Our agenda today is an opening writing activity, followed by Training Future Faculty program background, and then how do we model and integrate UDL principles throughout the TFF program. That's followed by some TFF cohort feedback with regards to UDL, and then a closing activity where we ask you to complete a survey that relates to the opening activity.
For our opening activity, we would like you to imagine you are serving on a hiring committee in the sciences at your university. You are the committee expert on universal design for learning. What do you look for in a candidate to know if they will serve all students in their course design and teaching practice? We're going to pause here to give you time. Please keep your notes and refer to them throughout our presentation, adding or making further notes. Your notes will be helpful for our closing activity.
Okay, we're going to move on.
All right, in creating the program, first we formed the committee. The Training Future Faculty Committee is made up of faculty that specialize in classroom teaching, evaluation and assessment, diversity, equity, and inclusive teaching, and accessibility and universal design. The committee was organized in the fall of 2018. We then held student focus groups. In order to learn more about the needs of graduate students and postdocs, we organized focus groups with students from each major school: public health, basic sciences in the School of Medicine, nursing, and postdocs from all over campus. We asked them what they hope to find in a teaching professional development program and what barriers existed to their participation. The program was launched in the fall of 2019 with 13 participants in the first cohort. Cohorts last one academic year, and the program includes teaching and learning workshops, teaching observation and feedback, a monthly professional development group, and completion of an online asynchronous course on the fundamentals of teaching and learning. TFF is a professional development program for OHSU graduate students and postdoctoral scholars who are interested in teaching. Our student body is in biomedical sciences, healthcare, and scientific research. Our participants are not trained to teach as part of their education or training as research scientists, even though many of them will later pursue faculty roles. TFF seeks to train them in evidence-based teaching. We prioritize inclusive teaching practices that include diversity, equity, and inclusion approaches to teaching and learning and course design through a lens of universal design for learning.
Similar to training current OHSU faculty on the UDL framework, we model and train future faculty on both accessibility and UDL principles and guidelines. In order to support TFF participants to become inclusive STEM educators, we believe in integrating accessibility and UDL into the design of our program. We emphasize the idea that creating an accessible, usable, and universally designed curriculum is not an add-on or an afterthought, but integral to teaching and learning at the development stage. We'll now take a closer look at the TFF program elements through the lens of UDL. First, the TFF program site and Sakai, our learning management system. The site is designed with digital accessibility in mind. In addition, our teaching resources page links directly to ARC, the Online Accessibility Resource Center in Sakai, which highlights universal design for learning with information, principles, guidelines, and the UDL progression rubric, which provides examples of applying UDL in the classroom. Our TFF program site provides program information page with the most important information at the top, followed by detailed information about individual program elements on the rest of the page, but it's not shown in this screenshot. Note that the personal attendance tracking form and program completion checklist meet UDL checkpoint 6.4, enhance capacity for monitoring progress. And the faculty self-assessment for observation document helps to guide appropriate goal setting, as well as engagement checkpoint 9.3, develop self-assessment and reflection. Fundamentals of Teaching and Learning is a 5-module course to OHSU, open to OHSU faculty as well as TFF participants. We provide a foundation of quality practices in teaching and learning as well as model course design options in our LMS Sakai. The design and delivery of the course meets UDL principles such as engagement, 7.1, optimize individual choice and autonomy. And we do this because the course is self-paced and we offer choice of 2 levels of differing challenges and activities. 7.2, optimize relevance, value, and authenticity. The course is relevant to both current faculty and our future faculty participants, and the course presents on quality teaching and learning and models course design in our LMS Sakai. 8.3, we foster collaboration and community because the OHSU faculty communicates with our TFF participants in forums and comments, and they all receive feedback from Teaching and Learning Center, the Teaching and Learning Center team. And 8.4, increase mastery-oriented feedback. The TLC provides feedback in forums and comments within the modules. For the principle of representation, the course offers alternatives for auditory and visual information by providing accurate transcripts and captions for all video and audio content, and the images have alt text or alternative descriptions. We illustrate through multimedia because concepts are presented in text, illustration, audio, and video. And we help to highlight big ideas and relationships in our module introductions that highlight key ideas and connections to other modules, as well as our learning objectives listed for each module. And the final principle of action and expression, we vary the methods for response and navigation. We provide a choice between 2 levels of challenge and activity, and we use varied tools of the forums, comments, and quizzes in the site. We use multimedia for communication. Learners have a choice in uploading sometimes a written script, a video, audio, or other media, such as an infographic, and we guide appropriate goal setting through the learning objectives that are prominently displayed. And then finally, with fundamentals, we not only model accessibility and UDL, but we teach about these as well as the concept of usability. Module 5 uses graphics, articles, video, and the comments tool as instructional materials and links to CAST's UDL guidelines and the UDL progression rubric. One of the Module 5 activity choices is to write about UDL in the Fundamentals course forums. Here are a few examples of TFF participants responding to this activity. And I'm going to read them out. When universal design is employed effectively, students can have ease in more accessible spaces, easier to use technology, content that is accessible to differences in cognitive abilities, and has patterns that ease cognitive load. These practices improve learning experiences for all students, not only those students who have a specific disability accommodations. Moving forward in my career, if I teach, I will prioritize utilizing the principles of UDL in my classroom. As a student, the last few years have felt like a period of experimentation as instructors try out new methods to better engage their students online. I'm hopeful that as we move back into the classroom or into hybrid models, these changes stick because honestly, a lot of the UDL inspired changes I saw with online learning, for example, offering students more options for how to consume lectures, would be just as helpful for students in the live classroom setting. I think it is especially important for an institution like OHSU, whose student population is likely very diverse when it comes to age, family commitments, work-school balance, etc. The need to provide a learning environment that can work for all students is critical in leveling the playing field and producing a diverse workforce. And finally, it would be helpful to not just have a variety between assessments, but also variety within assessments, where learners can choose how to complete an assessment within some defined boundaries. I'll always remember a course I had where the final project could be completed 4 or 5 different ways. You could write an essay, create a 3D model, do something creative like a song, etc. There was a high level of expectation for each option, though, making it so there wasn't an easy way out. Instead, the focus was more on choosing the option that best fit your learning style. I think that would be overwhelming to do for every assessment, but having at least 2 options for any given assessment is a reasonable goal and would improve the accessibility and usability of the course content. So moving on, we model providing options in our TFF program requirement of workshops. Participants complete a minimum of 3 hours of workshops of their choice, with at least 2 of the 4 subject areas being teaching strategies, accessibility, diverse populations, or assessment. The TFF mini conference each fall may count toward workshop hours. Some of the topics are communicating with your students, feedback loops, and a syllabus workshop. Last year, we started with bringing equity and inclusion to your teaching, which discusses trauma-informed practices, inclusive learning environments, and an introduction to universal design for learning. We explain that the foundation of universal design from the Center for Universal Design at NC State University is the design of products and environments to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design. We provide a few examples and then discuss the UDL guidelines and its 3 main principles to provide multiple means of engagement, representation, and action and expression. Another program requirement is 2 teaching observations and feedback sessions. Our teaching self-assessment guide lists many elements of teaching from preparation to the classroom mechanics to interactions with students. We ask our future faculty to highlight areas they would like the observer to focus on. The guide also includes self-reflection questions. Finally, the participant meets with the observer before the first teaching session to set their own goals, and again after both teaching sessions for discussion, reflection, and feedback. A few direct connections to UDL are through the engagement principle with checkpoints 7.1 to optimize individual choice and autonomy, 7.2 optimize relevance, value, and authenticity, 8.4 to increase mastery-oriented feedback, and 9.3 to develop self-assessment and reflection. We also model and train on UDL throughout our professional development group meetings. These are generally 4 in-person sessions, but we offer the ability for people to join us virtually with a TFF member monitoring their participation through WebEx chat. We follow up on the introduction to UDL from the fall mini conference with more information on applying UDL in the classroom. We model this by sending accessible slides or PDFs in advance and offering options if a participant cannot attend in person. This year, we ran out of time to discuss our final 2 scenarios, so in the interest of UDL, which I verbally expressed to the group, we let the participants decide which scenario we would discuss. And this being Health and Science University, they selected scenario 3. We finished the cohort year with micro-teaching sessions. Since we have built fluencies with graduated levels of support for practice and performance, checkpoint 5.3, participants design and deliver mini lessons to the TFF cohort and receive feedback from their peers. Micro-teaching implies several UDL checkpoints, such as some of these are already stated, like optimizing individual choice and autonomy, relevance, value, and authenticity, and fostering collaboration and community, but as well as UDL action and expression to build fluencies with graduated levels of support and support planning and strategy development.
Okay, we're going to give you a pause break. We recommend you pause the video for as long as you need to reflect and/or add to your notes. Finally, we are sharing a few comments that our TFF participants shared with us through a December reflection, cohort interviews, and end of program feedback surveys. We asked about inclusive teaching in general. Some of the comments are different elements in my PowerPoints, inclusive of students, accessible to everyone. I hope that UDL will let my students experience the materials in multiple ways, which will help with comprehension and retention. Creating multiple ways to learn, help more types of students in the class succeed. One also said, I would like to implement universal design for learning in my teaching. I like this strategy as it helps to set up course content considering the accessibility and usability for all students, while aligning with inclusive teaching goals. Also, incorporating the 3 pillars of UDL into teaching, engagement, consciously including learning material and environment to enhance choice, minimizing threats, foster collaboration to achieve learning objectives and goals, representation, multiple and accessible formats, action and expression, clear learning expectations, reflection rubrics, use of technologies learners are comfortable with, encourage student feedback and self-reflection and assessment to create an inclusive learning environment and learning materials. We created a simple word cloud from recent TFF participant feedback from our Fundamentals of Teaching and Learning Forum, our December reflection interviews, and surveys. I like how both learning and students are the most prominent, followed by UDL, course, assessments, options, multiple, different, and variety. We can also find inclusive, goals, questions, methods, reflection, and abilities. Now we would like your ideas for how to improve our program. Please review your hiring committee activity and presentation notes and use the QR code to give us your feedback and or ideas. Or if you prefer, you may email us your suggestions. We thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.